fatal heart impacts, past painful scars. In fact, I blast tasteful bars and pass. I back up my actions, fact don't ask, grab reactions, jacked attack with every word, then act with class as they hear me snap. I got nothing to lose, cause I fought and felt the bruise. Now I'm not the one confused, call the shots and they produce. I ain't lost, I'm finally loose. Pick a new silver excuse, I need the views to boost me to a new abuse of being used. Everybody wants a piece now, y'all can rest in peace now. You're dead to me, so peace out. Remember, you're discreet out. Get ready for defeat now.
Alrighty. Hello everybody. This is Kira's show here, and now, before I do begin, this is going to be my 7K special. This is pre-recorded. I am not at 7K yet. And this is going to be a brief explanation for those of you who do not know who this character is. Celti is from an anime, it's hard to pronounce, but it's Durarara. Now, she is a Dullahan, or the Headless Horseman from Irish folklore. Now, her powers do include shadow manipulation, and the ability to create weapons from those shadows. I believe she also does have a durability increase, and it was stated that she does have slightly stronger strength than a normal person. Along with that, I do believe that she does have a healing factor. If anyone does have any evidence suggesting otherwise, I would please like to see it. If anyone does also have evidence to back up the healing factor idea, then I would also like to see it. Now, let us begin. We will start over in Ireland, where Hisashi and Inko are. They are not Japanese. No. In fact, currently, Hisashi, he is taking over his family's business. They have been the importers and exporters of a whole lot of things within the country. If it has anything to do with trade deals or anything like that, his business is one of the best. Now, he does do business with Japanese branches, American branches, and all over the world. And he does have somewhat of a monopoly over his current home. Now, it isn't all that large. However, he does have a good portion of business always in his way, or always coming his way. Now, with that being said, Izuki Midoriya will be born. Hisashi's quirk will be the ability to manipulate shadows. Meanwhile, for Inko's quirk, I do want to say that she would have a durability increase quirk. Or let's say that she's actually a Dullahan. Now, with that being said, people don't really see Inko as all that intimidating, just like the legend. In fact, Inko is a very nice and sweet girl. Now, with that being said, we do have Izuki being born, with the same quirk as her mother. And doctors are not really surprised by this, handing over the baby and stating that it is a healthy baby girl. And that it does already appear that she does have Inko's current quirk. Now, with that being said, Izuki was quite the handful as a baby, since she did, whenever she did lose her head, she did have smoke and what appeared to be black mist pouring from the hole in her neck. Now, along with that, there's the fact that she would frequently lose her head, and seemed to always be messing around with her quirk. Discovering quite quickly that she does share Hisashi's abilities. Now, along with that, we will cut up to her being around the age of 4. A lot of kids in her school do call her a freak, and she does come home crying. Now, currently Hisashi is out on business, and Inko and some of the helping staff or people in charge of taking care of the manor are currently here. Inko comforting her daughter and asking her what's wrong. Her explaining what happened at school. Now, let us cut back there, earlier into the day. Yuzuki was told to introduce herself, and she did. As soon as she did introduce herself, she actually did have her head whenever she bowed, or at least tried to move forwards to sit down, she had her head fall off, causing quite a lot of people to scream and actually get scared, along with somebody to actually faint. Now, after she was able to pick up her head and get it reattached, she actually did somewhat tighten the scarf that her mother did give her, and go on stating that she is very sorry about that. Many kids freaking out and calling her a strange villain and a freak. Now, teachers did try and tell the kids that she is not going to be a villain, nor is she a freak. However, they kept insisting on it, along with Yuzuki actually asking the teacher about her quirk. The teacher going on to state that her quirk is called Dullahan. Now, Yuzuki did actually ask her if she does know what a Dullahan is, because her mother, she's said it before, but she's never answered her question. The teacher, taken aback by this, as the face they do make does look a little bit surprised and sort of sour, as they do actually avoid her question, telling her that that is not important right now. For right now, they should just focus on classwork and recess, since it will be coming up soon. Now, whenever Izuki did go to leave her school, she actually did hear that very same teacher talk about how the little girl in her classroom, she believes Midoriya, actually did ask her about a Dullahan. The other teacher asking exactly what did she say, to which she didn't say anything, stating how is she supposed to tell a child about the Headless Horseman, especially with the freaky ear-to-ear grin, and basically the Grim Reaper. Now, Yuzuki came running home after that, and Inko, she was actually quite angry, wanting to go down to that school and talk with that teacher, for basically making her daughter cry. Now, someone that helped here do actually calm her down, and begin to instruct her that she should just really file a complaint, talk with the principal, and have that teacher talked to. Otherwise, if she goes down there, she'll just be seen as some crazy woman, screaming and shouting. Now, with that, this is quite strange. Izuki is still trying to get used to her quirk. Even after all these years and all different types of things that she's asked her mother, there's not a way to keep her head on, except for a scarf or possibly what could be most likely a surgery. However, they're not too sure about it, since it basically just involves stitching the head on with stitches. Now, along with that, there is a bit of another problem. Now, Yuzuki, she is beginning to learn more and more about her own quirk. Now, whereas usually this would not be a problem for normal children, Yuzuki is a specialized case, as sometimes you do see her making strange objects out of her quirk. One time she made a little black cube. Then there was a time that she did try and make a piece of paper. Then a pencil. Then a few other basic things. Her once covering half of her room in shadows, and her mother being quite surprised. Now, Izuki, she was once found using one of these shadow creations to play house, or at least what she has seen one of the helpers in the manor do. Basically, where one of the helpers in the manor were cutting up potatoes to make something, or at least let's say some fresh vegetables, Izuki herself, she actually did want to help, using a shadow and creating a bit of a knife. Now, the person in charge didn't really think that Izuki could do anything with that, until they did see her actually take a potato and slice it clean in half. Now, as soon as they did see this, they were actually quite surprised, taking this thing away from Izuki immediately, and setting it down on the counter, before calling Miss Midoriya. Now, Inko was quite intrigued to hear about this, walking over and picking up this shadow creation, seeing exactly what it is. Now, with all of that, Izuki is told to be very careful what she creates, and that if she is going to create something, that make sure it is not dangerous. Now, with that being said, she does head back to her room, as she does simply begin to play with shadows. Now, whenever she is playing with shadows, you could say, she is having a whole lot of fun, until she does actually hear something that does sound quite peculiar. She hears a sound that sounds, well, odd. She can't put her finger on it. Whatever it is, doesn't feel right. Now, she actually does go to turn around, and she does, unaware of what's currently happening. That strange feeling that she was getting. However, if you were to walk into the room, you can see clear as day what she is missing. Now, most of the shadows in the room are collected behind her, and they are currently forming what looks to be a giant horse, or what could be described as a giant creature. Now, Izuki is still having quite a lot of fun, unaware of what's currently behind her. Anytime she does go to move or look behind her, it simply just shifts in a direction to where she cannot see, and is quite peculiar. Now, with all that being said, Izuki, she does go to school again, and begin to show off her quirk, talking about how she can do all these things and these things. Everyone kind of quite surprised, treating her somewhat normally for a second, along with her explaining that she can also create other things out of shadows, and everyone watching what she does. As in class, suddenly all the shadows disappear. And then there is one thing left, what seems to be a giant ball or giant cocoon of darkness in the very middle of the room. Everyone watching as Izuki immediately just tries to morph it, or shift what it looks like. As Izuki does try, everyone in the class watches along with the teacher as this strange cocoon begins to morph outwards and try to take on a shape. Izuki turning it into a giant square, let's just say, and everyone's still being somewhat impressed. As soon as Izuki does go to let go of the ability, you do actually watch as all these shadows just burst away from each other. Everyone's shadows jumping back into place, along with aligning back with the sun by the window. Now, with all of that, I do want to say that Izuki wouldn't be seen differently anymore. In fact, the teacher that Inko complained to or talked to actually did apologize to her daughter and state that she does have very good potential to be a pro hero one day. Now, Inko is quite happy to hear that high praise for her daughter. And I do want to say that, Hasashi would come back from his business trip and hear about what is going on, as he actually does want to try and teach Yuzuki what he does know. Now, this I want to say would be whenever Yuzuki does actually begin to develop ways to use her quirk, other than the strange odysseys she has already displayed. Now then, with all that being said, I do want to say that Izuki, she would actually begin to learn from her father. And Hisashi, he would actually take her outside the manor to show her things that she can do. Now, she would begin to learn by watching nature and staying outside. Watching as her father actually does raise his hand and begin to try and use his ability. Shadows beginning to move and bend like wind, as they all immediately begin to fly towards her father's feet. As soon as they all do arrive there, Hisashi does show off something that he believes his daughter would really like to see. Hisashi trying to create a shadow duplicate of himself. Basically, it looks like him, but it's completely made out of shadows. Him and the duplicate mimicking each other's movements, before it eventually does actually walk over to Izuki and bend downwards, as if to, well, what's the right way to say it? If you were to just have gone through a show and basically present something magical. Now, after bending downwards, the thing would immediately just go to fall backwards. As soon as it does, it explodes into butterflies. Now, Hisashi watches Izuki's face light up with joy. There are not a lot of words to currently express what she is feeling right now. Now, the few words that you could use would be anything above the wow scale. Now, Izuki does try and give this a shot, trying to manipulate the shadow of a giant tree in the yard. And you actually do watch as she does begin to actually do it. It is a slightly above average tree, and its shadow does stretch out very long. I want to say over 50 feet. Now, Inko actually does watch from the window as these two are trying to train. And Izuki actually does see her very shadow begin to move outwards, along with actually trying to go to the tree. As this does happen, Izuki's ability does continue on, the tree eventually listening to her command. Now, the shadow, it gets pulled out, as it actually does go back over towards Izuki's feet, and slide up her leg, coming all the way up to her arm, before she just holds it in her hand, trying to understand this strange power. Hisashi giving her a few pointers about what he can tell her about his quirk, trying to explain how he felt when he first manifested it. He thought it was a strange and scary ability. However, he soon learned afterwards that that was not the case. In fact, it was all quite good, and he did feel less scared having his own quirk around. Now, with all of that being said, I do hope you guys enjoyed. And have an amazing night. Catch you guys in the next part.